everyone, welcome to Roma Theory game week number 5 away at Torino. As you can read from today's title, I always call this an obscure game. There's always a part of me which does not want to play against Torino. There are a few games which every single season turn out to be dark games, and this is exactly one of them. But we'll go through it today, we'll go through them, we'll go through us coming towards this game. We'll obviously go through the predicted 11, as you can probably see from the screen, but I'm going to hide it and put it back in a second when we're going to speak about it. And we're going to speak about our opponents, what moment they're living, the players that they have, and at the end, I'm going to give you my betting tips. So if you're enjoying this Friday evening, wherever you are, lunchtime, and maybe it is, but where I am, it's evening. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into this. Let's start with Torino. Now, Torino are 7th. Torino are only lost one game in this start of the league, which is very impressive. The big thing about Torino is that in 4 games, they've only conceded one. That's absolutely bollocks. They've conceded. How many did they concede? They conceded in 4 games. Torino have conceded exactly 4 goals, which it's an average of 1 goal per game. But all the goals that they conceded came against Milan. And that's another thing to consider. In their first game week of the season against Cagliari, they kept a clean sheet. Against Salernitana, they won 3-0, but they kept a clean sheet. And against Genoa, they won 1-0, and they kept a clean sheet. So they are good defensively. As you can probably read from the graphic on the screen, their most valuable player is in fact a defender, coming from the Ajax gardener. His name is Per Schurz, very interesting defender. We were linked with him this summer. He would have been a great addition to this team. And he's a great player. He's one of the best defenders in the league, if you ask me, because he fulfills all of that criteria of a next gen defender, which the world of football will want to see. But yeah, I mean, look, I call this an obscure game because there's always, every single season, I like to kind of break down the easy games and the dark games. And there are a few away games, apart from the classic complicated games, big games, like Milan away, Inter away, Juventus away. There are always a few game weeks against mediocre to low table teams, which are always a pain in the ass to face away from home. One of them is Torino away, and the other one is Verona away, and we know something about that. I don't know what it is, but it's just the fact that we play away from home against these teams, which doesn't make me confident. It's always like this. It's always been like this. If you go back to last year's match previews for Verona away and Torino away, I would have said the same thing. I don't know, it's something to do with the stadium. It's something to do with the pitch. It's something to do with... I don't know. It's just something to do with the dampness of the game, which doesn't make it convinced. If you add on to that the fact that we've literally played 48 hours before kickoff on Sunday, and if you look at where we played our Europa League game, and you take in consideration the amount of time, the amount of exhaustion which it took us to reach that destination and come back, the fact that we need to relieve for Turin tomorrow, and that we're not stopping for an actual entire day in Rome. If you add the fact that Torino did not have European Cups, and that Torino are living a good moment, if you ask me. They're coming from a great win against Salernitana, 3-0, a brace from Radonjic, and they kept a clean sheet. They're living a good moment. There's nothing we can hide about this. Yeah, I mean, let's speak about them. Now, they've got interesting players. Again, Torino are a mid-table team, if you ask me, but they've got some players which actually make this team an interesting team to face against. And it's why I think we're going to face difficulties on Sunday. They obviously brought in Duvan Zapata. He was on the verge of signing for us until the Lukaku surprise. And then he signed for Torino the same day Lukaku basically landed in Rome. It's a good signing for a club like Torino. I mean, I can't hide the fact that, now you look at the fact that we got Lukaku, so Duvan Zapata is compared to Lukaku is obviously a scrappy player. But I can't hide the fact that even before the Lukaku rumours came out, I would have been happy with Duvan Zapata up front. Maybe it's because we were in such desperate need of a striker, and time was ticking so fast that it was just me automatically going, right, give me Duvan Zapata. We spoke about Zapata a lot this summer, very physical striker. If he's on his day and hits his day, he's one of the most catastrophic strikers in this league. And the fact that Smalling is in doubt for this game doesn't help, because Smalling is very, very good at keeping distances and defending against very physical strikers. Smalling's in doubt for this one. We'll speak about the injury crisis in a second. Something new, I guess. We always speak about it. It gets updated every week, but we'll get into that. But adding a few more details about Torino, they've got a good attack. They've got Duvan Zapata, Vlasic, Radonicic, who's coming from from a double against Salernitana on Monday. Overall, as I said before, defense is living a good moment. Manager knows what he's doing. Torino knows what they're doing. I think it's going to be a very complicated game. I wouldn't bet money on a Roma win. I really won't. Because it's one of those games which could literally go either way. Especially if you add the fact that we have played yesterday. We got back to Rome today at about lunchtime. We've rested a bit, we've trained a bit in the afternoon, and tomorrow afternoon we're already off again for Turin. That's the problem with Europa League away games. It's exactly that. I said this in the Sheriff match preview. There's a big difference from Champions League away games and Europa League away games. Champions League away games are more difficult in terms of quality, in terms of the teams you're facing, but Europa League away games are more complicated in terms of just reaching the destination, coming back from the destination. I've said this already. To reach Sheriff Stadium, we had to take a 3-hour airplane flight, 2-hour bus ride, and then all the way back. Again, the players are going to be exhausted. I know it's the start of the season, but the players are going to be exhausted from Thursday's game. Again, another reason of why the players are going to be exhausted is because the plan for Sheriff didn't come out very well. The plan for Sheriff was very simple. Start with that starting 11, get an advantage of 2 goals by half time, and then rest all of those players in the second half. That plan didn't work out because we ended up subbing in Dybala, we ended up subbing in Spinazzola, we ended up subbing in Paredes because Renato Sanchez got injured. So the plan for the Sheriff game, yes, it was to get the 3 points, but the display of the game plan didn't go to plan, and that's another reason to add. I think Sunday's game is going to be an extremely complicated game. If we win, I wouldn't be massively surprised, but I would be extremely happy because playing away at Torino 48 hours after a Europa League game is a massive result. Now, obviously, we need the 3 points because of our bad start. Everything is kind of linked to that bad start. We have, starting against Empoli last weekend, we have a series of games which we have to only win. We can't even think about losing points in these next games, seeing the fact that we've already lost 5 points with both Salernitana and Verona in the first 2 games of the season. We've won against Empoli very well. We've won against Sheriff to start our Europa League campaign very well. We need to win against Torino. And then after Torino, we have yet another away game It's a midweek game week. So we're playing against Genoa on Thursday. So we have had 3 consecutive away games. Sheriff, Torino, Genoa. That's the definition of exhausting your team out. Unfortunately, it's exactly that. So we've got we've got a series of games where we can't lose more points, because otherwise, top 4 is going to get more complicated and more complicated and more complicated. But yeah, other than that, I think it's going to be a very close game. I'm gonna give you my betting tip now, and then we'll move on to the predicted 11. My betting tip for this game is under. I expect a very close game. Just to give you an example, in the 2 games that we played against Torino last season, one of them was a 1-1 draw at home, and one of it was a 1-0 win away. And that 1-0 win was a penalty that Dybala transformed into a goal. In the past season, these games against Torino have always been close. And I'm expecting yet another close game. I'm not expecting any of the 2 teams to score more than 2 goals. I'm expecting a very physical game. A very physical game which will try and get unlocked with mistakes. And this is an emphasis on concentration. Because this is one of those classic games which can be a 0-0 fight, physical game until the 70th minute. Then one of the 2 sides makes a mistake. The other team exploits this mistake and gets the 3 points and brings them home. I'm expecting that type of a game. I'm expecting a game which we could win 1-0. Torino could win 1-0. We could draw 0-0. We could draw 1-1. I'm expecting these close games. I'm definitely not expecting a win like Empoli last weekend. I think it is impossible to do such thing away at Torino. But obviously, compared to last season, we now have a striker which can score goals. 2 games, 2 goals. His name is Romelu Lukaku. He can score goals. He knows what scoring goals means. And he's got that feeling with the goal. He's living a good moment. He's fit and he can change the game. So yeah, that brings me on to my predicted 11. The predicted 11 is this. Rui Patricio in goal, Ndika, Llorente and Mancini. Yes, no Smalling. Because apparently Smalling hasn't been training with the team even today. And again, that's big. It means he's not ready. It means he's not fit. So I'm not expecting Smalling to start. The only way Smalling starts is if he says to Jose, I am ready to start this game. Now, I may add that playing this game with Smalling and playing this game without Smalling will be 2 completely different things. Because the only defender in our roster which can handle physical strikers, like an example of Duvan Zapata, Romelu Lukaku type strikers, is Chris Smalling. Llorente and Ndika and Mancini do not convince me at all in terms of defending against a very physical striker. So playing this game with Smalling, I think, would be very, very different. But I don't think he will be ready for this. So, look, they're building their connection. If all of the 3 start against Torino, it would be their 3rd consecutive game together that they would start. And yeah, Llorente is good. I think Llorente as a central defender is way better than Llorente as a more wide defender. And Ndika is a question mark because he doesn't look ready still. And Mancini is always a hit or a miss. He can pull incredible performances, but he can also pull terrible performances. 4 midfielders, I'm going with Smina and Christensen and Paredes and Cristante in the middle. Awar up front and Lukaku and Dybala in attack. No Zalewski, Spina in. Zalewski looks dead. Zalewski looks, I don't know what happened to him. We're debating in the fan forum if the fact that a few years back he got that Golden Boy nominee, which made him, go mental. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the competition with the Spinazzola. but Zaleski is really not having it. Against Sheriff, he played yet another brutal game. He just is not good at crossing. He's not good at cutting in. And if he's not fit, he's also not good at dribbling and running. And that's literally all you don't want a fullback to do. Speed, on the other hand, I still think he's not the same player he was last season or 2 years ago. But as of now, he's way better than Zaleski, and Spina needs to start. Christensen on the other side, I think will start. And Paredes and Cristante in the middle. I'm liking Paredes lately. I haven't mentioned Paredes much in these last few weeks, but I am liking Paredes lately. I think Paredes with Dybala is a very different player than Paredes without Dybala, and same discussion goes with Cristante. Cristante with Dybala on the pitch is way more effective, and the chances of Cristante scoring are way higher because he plays in a more advanced position. Awar, he's not coming from a great performance. Awar against Sheriff didn't play well, in my opinion. Lukaku, Dybala are going to be the game changers if we want to win this game. Dybala's always got that fitness question mark, but he's the one who can win us this game. And as I said before, 3 points are vital in this game. Again, speaking about the injury crisis, we've got Pellegrini, who is back training with the team. So today he's trained back with the team. Renato Sanchez will be out against Torino and against Genoa, and hopes to be back against Frosinone next weekend. Sanchez starting yesterday was ridiculous. Sanchez should have never started yesterday. I just don't get why Sanchez started. It doesn't take a genius to understand and see that Sanchez has got physical conditions, and it doesn't take a genius to understand that Sanchez shouldn't have played yesterday, especially because he's injury prone. Why wasn't it better to start Bove yesterday? Not that we needed somebody like Renato Sanchez to win against Sheriff. We played a bad game, but on paper, we didn't need Renato Sanchez to beat them. And plus, if Bove didn't start yesterday, it suggests to me that Bove will never start ahead of Renato Sanchez. Because the one game Renato Sanchez had to rest, Renato Sanchez played in a game which he had to rest. So yeah, I don't agree on Renato Sanchez starting yesterday, and we've seen the consequences of it. He got injured and he's going to miss these next 2 games, which is big because Renato Sanchez is a very useful player because of the interceptions and all of that. Up front, as we said before, Dybala and Lukaku are going and have to be the key to this game. There's a Roma with Lukaku and Dybala, and there is a Roma without Lukaku and Dybala. I'm expecting both of them to start tomorrow. I think everybody expects both of them to start tomorrow, and I think they can be not the only way, but they'll definitely help in trying to get the 3 points in a very complicated game, very complicated stadium, and yeah, right. Let's read some comments, shall we? Torino have an injury crisis. Not that I'm aware of. Ilic, Zapata, Vlasic. Ilic and Vlasic are back. They might have a few injuries, but definitely not main players. We might win 1-0, or it might be a draw because of our players are exhausted. I agree. I have to be honest with you. I'm predicting a draw in this game. I don't know what it is about this game. I really don't know what it is. It's the game. It's the stadium. It's the pitch. It's these rotten stadiums which don't make me confident. But no, I'm remaining positive. I think we'll nick the win because we know how important it is to get the 3 points. In these next few games, we need to try and get 4 points. This is by far the most complicated games in this little streak of games which we need to win. But yeah. Always faithful. I think we can scrap it. Maybe with a penalty, something like that. Maybe with a Lukaku header, silencing Torino fans. I need to understand why Ndika was highly rated is so bad. Ndika made more mistakes in the last 2 games than Iban has made in all derbies combined. He needs time. I do agree. He's not started well. But yeah, he needs time. He definitely needs time. You can tell that at Eintracht Frankfurt he played in a different system. I hope to see much more of Azmoun in these games. I need to. Oh no, you read that. Smalling is a mystery. What in the hell is his injury? It's his typical muscle minor injury which he has. It's always that injury. I wouldn't start a war for the same reason Sanchez shouldn't have started. I'd start Bove instead. Problem is, if you start Bove, who do you put as creative midfielder? If you want to play with two strikers up front. If you want to start Bove, one between Paredes and Cristante shouldn't start. Or maybe we could be creative and start Cristante in Aouar's position. It won't happen, but I think that's his position. I think he's born to play in that position, not as a defensive midfielder. You're not the coach. What does that mean? I can't build my own opinions? Sanchez has to start injury prone or not. We need to win, and Jose was right to start him in, as we needed big guns to win yesterday. I disagree. I don't think we needed Sanchez to beat Sheriff Tiraspol. We played a bad game, but it's the way we prepared that game, which is bad. You know, we beat way better teams without Renato Sanchez on the pitch. So I think Renato Sanchez had to rest that game. And just like you're saying, Renato Sanchez is injury prone, so he can't start every game. It would have been way more useful to start Renato Sanchez on Sunday than it was on Thursday. Because on Sunday, it's a complicated game. I'm not saying Sheriff was not a complicated game, but out of the two, Torino is way more complicated. And exactly because he's injury prone, we need to handle him very well, and we can't make him play every game. Right, is the match tomorrow or on Sunday? Sunday evening. Sunday evening it is. Right, I'm going to catch you tomorrow with the press conference. I don't know if he is going live. If he's not going live, I'll catch you tomorrow either way. I'm going to catch you tomorrow. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, road to 10k, so get it done, and I will catch you tomorrow and then on Sunday for the live watch along. Before leaving the stream, if you can smash the like button, it would support this community a lot. See you out.